lot of Mexicans don't like him. A lot of Mexicans don't like him. I go to Mexico a lot. They don't like him. They like us. He's a come in Spanish in Puerto Rico.
It's fight week for Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga, and they've kicked off the fight week with a very heated face-off. It definitely didn't last long, as it was a brief confrontation between the pair as they began their media duties. If you guessed a continuity of their previous trash talking, you definitely aren't wrong, only that Canelo Alvarez was more quiet this time.
He was the one that started the whole justice thing. Like, I feel like he was just inviting me to his private part downstairs. He was like, bam, bam, bam.
As the teams of both fighters walked across the hallway in Las Vegas, Edgar Berlanga walked up to Canelo Alvarez and confronted him. As we all know, the size advantage isn't on Canelo Alvarez's side. Again, Berlanga's move did prove that, but Berlanga wasn't having mean intentions. His move up to Canelo wasn't to create any chaos, but to cause some drama and give his supporters something to talk about.
You know, I'm from New York, so I was just inviting him to like, no freaky stuff, you know, but I felt disrespected, so I disrespected him back. You know?
He moved up to Canelo Alvarez, greeted him casually, and stared him down briefly before walking away. With this, there's so much to look out for when the pair go ahead with several rounds of face-offs in the coming days. Edgar Berlanga nicknamed himself the Chosen One before the start of his boxing career. But at no other time than now is he in the best position to prove to himself, his fans, and the entire world of boxing that he is the real Chosen One.
He fought a lot of guys in Mexico that was like selling oranges on the corner and stuff. He started his career in Mexico.
It takes only a prince who has been chosen to unseat a boxing royalty like Canelo Alvarez, who has dominated the sport for years. He has won it all, and despite that Canelo Alvarez is closer to his retirement than his peak, he isn't looking ready to lead the throne yet. Undoubtedly, there's so much to watch out for when they go head-to-head in the squared circle.
Person that eats.
So for the Mexican fans then that don't like him.
A lot of Mexicans don't like him.
It's a battle of every kind of boxing qualities. A battle of boxing IQ, a battle of power, a battle of strength, a battle of techniques, and most importantly, a national battle between Mexico and Puerto Rico. It's gotten so intense that Canelo Alvarez has predicted that he would do what he hasn't done in most of his recent fights. He has promised Edgar Berlanga a knockout in 8 rounds. Well, Berlanga didn't only nullify that when he reminded the boxing world of a similar prediction from Canelo in his last fight. However, he was able to only end up with a decision victory. He then capped it up with a prediction to beat up Canelo Alvarez within the first 6 rounds.
And Mexicans are screaming at me, "Tú vas a ganar Canelo! Gana Canelo, puñet!" So mira, Mexicans.
As the big fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga approaches, a fight that will take place on September 14th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, the voices coming from the Puerto Rican fighter's side are of pure optimism. At least that's what Mark Ferrate, Edgar Berlanga's trainer, said in an interview given to YSM Sport Media. Ferrate explained that the preparation for this fight is not limited to Canelo's last fights, but that they are planning a strategy of all his previous fights, which is the best way to face him.
Oh, because if you concentrate on the last 3, then you're a fool, right? Because you don't know what he's going to play. He's a great fighter. He's a legend, right? So you can prepare for...
You have to look at all of them, the fights, because if you focus on the last 3 fights, then you're a fool, right? Because you don't know what exactly he's going to bring, said Ferrate, who has the Brooklyn-born fighter with a record of 22 wins and 0 losses, of which he won 17 by knockout. Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter. He's a legend. You can prepare for the way he fought Charlo or the way he fought Munguia, but then he'll give you something totally different. You just have to be ready for any surprise. You just prepare for a little mix of everything, the trainer specified, and mentioned Canelo's win against Gennady Golovkin in 2017, 2018, and 2022, and the loss to Floyd Mayweather in 2013. All together, man, you have to look at his work, so that's what we've been doing.
And then he'll give you something totally different, you know? How many times we see Canelo stand in the corner?
Ferrate is the trainer who turned Edgar Berlanga pro, although they parted ways for a while before working together again in 2023. As it's been said, Berlanga and his team aren't doubting Canelo's abilities, but they aren't buying into his knockout claims in any way. Not even when one considers how he's been making similar claims in his previous fights, all to no avail. Saul Canelo Alvarez predicted that he would win his undisputed super middleweight title fight with Jaime Munguia in May, inside 8 rounds.
Are you going to be going? to look for the knockout?
No, la verdad es que me agrada eso, ¿no? Al final de cuentas, siempre ganar por nocaut es muy bonito.
The Mexican rivals fought at Las Vegas's T-Mobile Arena on the occasion of Cinco de Mayo weekend, when the 27-year-old Munguia entered what, by a considerable distance, represented both his toughest and most significant fight. Though Canelo Alvarez remained the strong favorite, he was being confronted by a fresher, younger, improving fighter, and one who was yet to experience defeat. Munguia had, regardless, also been dismissed somewhat on account of the reality that, to many observers, David Benavidez represents the more appealing challenger, and on the occasion of their grand arrivals at the MGM Grand, Alvarez, considered in decline, partly on account of his inability to stop his past 4 opponents, spoke of the statement he is planning to make.
Yo creo que antes del 8 voy a terminar por nocaut.
Winning by knockout is always wonderful, right? The 33-year-old said, so I think I'm going to win by knockout before the 8th round. I don't care if Munguia is younger, older. I don't care because Canelo in the end is different. He then continued, it's a very significant fight. It's going to be an historic one. It's 2 Mexicans fighting for all 4 belts for the first time. That's what I'm always looking for, to leave my mark and to put my country up high.
Winning by knockout is always wonderful, right? So I think that I'm going to win by knockout before the 8th round.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you to all the fans here. I'm looking forward to what's going to be an outstanding week with you all. I thank you for it, and I'm really excited to be here. Among the crowd present was someone holding a sign in support of Benavidez. Jaime Munguia deserves the respect that he's entitled to, and it's going to be a great fight, Alvarez responded when that sign led to him being asked about the prospect of him fighting Benavidez. The fan that had the sign out there about David Benavidez, he's clearly resentful from the Gennady Golovkin fight. However, despite being able to give Jaime Munguia a knockdown, Canelo Alvarez couldn't get the knockout he had promised. But even this wasn't the first time he was disappointing his fans, as the exact scenario happened against Canelo-Charlo last year.
I mean, I need to knock out him because he's a great fighter. I respect his skills. He's a great fighter. I don't need that knockout, but I need to win.
Charlo, who is the current undisputed super welterweight world champion, is jumping up 2 weight classes for this fight. But at the pre-fight press conference, he told Canelo not to underestimate him. Don't overlook my experience, don't overlook my power, and don't overlook my skills, Charlo said. As Canelo responded, I never did, and I never do with any fighter. I know what he's gonna bring, and I'm ready. Believe me. Canelo-Charlo knocked opponent through the ropes with crushing 1 punch. KO, Canelo warns what Canelo-Charlo can expect in the ring, and it's not pretty. I've been in the ring with all kinds of fighters.
Very hard.
How do you end the fight?
With a lot of body shots. A lot of body shots. Thank you. Gracias.
Not Canelo-Charlo, replied Charlo, before Canelo clapped back. You don't know, you haven't experienced this level of fight. You will see, you will learn. And after the press conference, as Canelo spoke to the media, he made it clear that he's going for the knockout come fight night. All the fighters train for the knockout, Canelo said. To say no is a lie, and sometimes it doesn't come, and you need to prepare for the 12 rounds. But you prepare yourself for a knockout, and I'm going to try this Saturday. And just like it was with Jaime Munguia, he was unable to get the knockout victory. All he did was to successfully hand Canelo-Charlo the 2nd defeat of his boxing career. The Mexican took a break in his preparation and went to the Los Angeles Coliseum where he supported the Mexican national team in its friendly match against New Zealand. Before the opening whistle, Canelo spoke to Tudden where he launched a harsh warning to Berlanga in a new edition of this rivalry between Mexico and Puerto Rico. Despite the warning to Berlanga, Canelo highlighted the qualities of the Puerto Rican, whom he is already expecting. He is a young fighter, dangerous, but it is nothing new for me. I have experienced everything in boxing. With good fighters, strong fighters, I prepared for that. We are ready, and on Saturday, you are going to see a great fight. The Jalisco native, who will face a Puerto Rican opponent for the 4th time, said that he prepared for this fight as if it were the first time he stepped into a ring.
Good, he's strong, he's young, he's hungry. But it's nothing new for me. I've been in there with all the kind of fighters.
I love what I do. I really enjoy what I do. I love boxing. I respect it very much. I feel good, better than ever. I'm at my best and I'm going to enjoy it. Alvarez also took time to talk about the reality of the Mexican national team and the third era that the tricolor is starting with Javier Aguirre on the bench. Aguirre and Marquez will work well together to give the team that motivation and direction. As I have said, everyone must have the same mentality as the coach.
And I'm just gonna go there and in there and do my business.
Unbeaten super middleweight Edgar Berlanga started a new knockout streak by scoring a brutal 6th round stoppage over Padraig McCrory at the Caribe Royale Orlando in Florida on Saturday. The official time was 2:44. The 26-year-old with the fight became 22-0 with 17 knockouts. McCrory is the second Ireland-born fighter Berlanga has defeated in a row, having won against Jason Quigley in his previous fight. McCrory had taken a ton of punishment, resulting in a knockdown. He got up, but the towel had been thrown.
Eventually, you have to let your hands go. Been told, and McCrory landed frustration. Absolutely.
Berlanga was focused and aggressive from start to finish. He had a really strong round 4, consistently landing heavy shots that buckled McCrory repeatedly. The Irishman did well to stay up. Berlanga continued to look sharp, following up with a solid round 5 where he couldn't miss with his punches. In round 6, Berlanga finished the job. Berlanga opened up with a series of punishing rights that took McCrory's legs away in the 6th. The Irishman was swaying all over the ring in a desperate bid to stay upright, but a big left hook to the body set up 2 more devastating rights that put McCrory over. Referee Christopher Young completed the 10 count as the white towel came in from the stricken fighter's corner. After the fight, Berlanga went up to McCrory in his corner and told him he was proud of him. The two then raised each other's hands in the middle of the ring. "It feels amazing to get the knockout," said Berlanga during his post-fight interview with DAZN. "I was losing sleep over this fight. People don't understand. Irish guys are strong, and he's undefeated, and he came to fight. People are intimidated by my power, so I didn't want to just be an offensive fighter. I'm learning how to put my defense together, psych them out, and then start landing my punches. I was breaking him down little by little." Berlanga threw next to nothing in the opening round, which McCrory picked up on work rate alone. This pedestrian pace continued into the second, and the packed crowd were already getting impatient. There was some nasty stuff on the inside in the third, when Berlanga purposefully raked the Irishman with an elbow. This was a sign of frustration, although Berlanga did land some pulverizing power shots in this session. Finding his range, Berlanga took that momentum into the 4th, and his punches visibly shook McCrory. It was the same again in the 5th, and the Belfast man was doing a lot of complaining to the referee in relation to low blows, some of which was justified. The issue for Berlanga was, there was no second phase of attack in the early going. He'd land 1 or 2 blows and then smother his follow-up assault or be dragged into a clinch. He needed to locate space and switch up the angles, which is precisely what he did in the 6th, before lowering the boom. The knock on Berlanga was that his spectacular streak of 16 first-round knockouts ended as soon as he took a significant step up in class. "He's mandatory now for Canelo's title. He's no one with the WBA," said Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn. "It's only a matter of time. Canelo Alvarez, the greatest fighter in the sport. Berlanga wants to challenge himself against the greatest fighters. Puerto Rico against Mexico, that would be a huge event. Maybe there is one more fight for Berlanga, but if the call came, he wouldn't back down. He wouldn't run away and try to survive for 12 rounds. Despite the fact that Berlanga called for Canelo next, expect the New Yorker of Puerto Rican descent to have one more bout. And once he was able to make the fight, Eddie Hearn promised that Edgar Berlanga would give Canelo Alvarez a run for his money and won't be just a walk in the park.
And also we got him into a mandatory position. So, it made sense. I think it's the biggest fight available for Canelo Alvarez outside of David Benavidez. So, his other mandatory was William Scott. I believe this was the right fight for him.
Who else can Canelo Alvarez fight right now other than David Benavidez? Promoter Eddie Hearn told Boxing News. For whatever reason, he's moved to light heavyweight. So that doesn't look like it's happening. So I think Edgar Berlanga is a good pick. I think he'll give him a good fight and it'll be a good event. But I don't see a lot of other options out there for Canelo Alvarez, if I'm honest. One thing I can say about Canelo Alvarez is he will never duck a challenge. There's no one he's afraid of.
Is there a possibility that you think Edgar can beat Canelo? Or
I mean, I don't see it, but you know, anything's possible in the sport of boxing. I'm sure we...
Next Saturday, September 14th, Mexican fighter Saul Canelo Alvarez returns to the ring to face Puerto Rican Edgar Berlanga, adding another chapter to the long history of great matches between Mexican and Puerto Rican boxers. The T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada will host the fight for the super middleweight title, marking Canelo's 8th defense, as he will be defending the World Boxing Council, World Boxing Organization, World Boxing Association, and the ring belts. It's worth noting that Canelo was stripped of his International Boxing Federation title for choosing to fight Berlanga instead of William Skull, who was the mandatory challenger according to the organization.
Big punchers before. I mean, you fought, Gennady 3 times, Sergey Kovalev, Danny Jacobs. Do you think that Edgar, and obviously you haven't been in there with him yet.
Canelo, with a record of February 2nd, 61 and 39 knockouts, is coming off a decision win against fellow Mexican Jaime Munguia, while Berlanga, who holds an undefeated record of 22-0 with 17 knockouts, will be fighting in his first main event and pay-per-view bout. In the co-main event, the veteran Arislandi Lara, 41 years old, born in Cuba but now residing in Houston, Texas, will defend his World Boxing Association middleweight title against 2-division champion Danny Garcia, whose last fight was in 2022, where he defeated Jose Benavidez Jr. by majority decision. Another notable fight will feature former world champion Caleb Plant, who previously faced Canelo in 2021. Plant is seeking a new opportunity to reclaim the super middleweight title and will be facing Trevor McCumbee in a fight for the World Boxing Association interim title. Canelo is yet to be defeated in the super middleweight division. He picked up the World Boxing Association and World Boxing Council belts by beating Callum Smith in 2020 before adding the World Boxing Organization with a stoppage over Billy Joe Saunders in May of 2021 and snatching the International Boxing Federation from Caleb Plant 6 months later to become undisputed. Benavidez, who has never fought lower than 168, previously held the World Boxing Council strap in 2017 and 2019. Losing it first after a positive test for cocaine and on the scales the second time.
But do you think that Edgar is the biggest puncher that you faced in your career, or have you faced guys who have more power?
I don't know, my friend. I don't know yet.
You tell me after the fight?
Yeah, I'm going to find out September 14. But I'm strong. I'm strong and I'm looking to do my best there. And
he fought his way back to the mandatory status with that sanctioning body, but a fight against Alvarez continues to elude him. The champion, now with just 3 of the 4 belts after being stripped of the International Boxing Federation earlier this year, has slapped a 150 to 200 million pounds price tag on the bout, explaining, "All I see is that Benavidez weighs 25 or 30 pounds more than I do on the day of the fight. I have no problem with that, but if you want me to fight with him, it's $200 million.
And let him feel in so much pain, so I'm focused on that.
In a more recent interview with DAZN, Canelo said that he knew he was better than the 27-year-old, but was asking for big money because there would just be another fighter people demanded him to face straight after. Look, I'm better than him for sure. I always fought with everybody that the people say I'm not gonna fight. If I beat him, they're gonna say another fighter, so they need to ask. If they really want to see the fight, pay me well." Asked if Benavidez winning more makes the fight worth more, he said yes.
I saw he said something like, Canelo should be careful, I knock out heavyweights in training. Does that concern you at all?
Me too. So I'm not heavyweight, but I'm more stronger than them.
Yeah, we can wait. You've seen it with Mayweather and Pacquiao, but I don't do it especially. In contrast, Benavidez has become tired of waiting. He moved up to light heavyweight for his latest fight and has decided to remain in that division as a mandatory challenger for the winner of the undisputed contest between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. Canelo, meanwhile, will defend his unified titles against undefeated contender Edgar Berlanga on September 14th, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.